How are you guys doing this evening? How are you guys? For those of you that are new to my channel, hi, I'm Jeanette from Boricua Sewing and Crafts. For this embroidery happy hour, I kind of like figure let's talk about, things that are kind of like, blah, like regarding embroidery, okay? There's been a lot of times when a lot of people reach out to me and they're kind of like they didn't take the embroidery machine out of the box. They'll come out and they'll say stuff like, I'm just like not in the zone, okay? Which I totally get it because I myself get the same exact way, okay? I sometimes don't get into the zone. Sometimes I have issues too, and it can be really challenging and stuff. So I wanted to kind of like talk to you guys a little bit about some of the things that can kind of like be like a blah moment and stuff. And I know that when I start hitting some of these touch points, you guys are probably going to be like, oh God, that's something that I probably experienced, right? Because that's the thing that sometimes I feel that um when people watch YouTubes and all that kind of stuff, it's like, you always see everything so perfect, right? And you're always thinking that that's just how it is for everybody and how wrong it you really are, because sometimes a lot of times when people do these videos, they do a lot of editing, they do a lot of skipping of certain steps and everything like that. So it's like, sometimes you feel like you look at it, it's like flawless and so simple looking and everything, and it can sometimes give people the impression that that's just how it is, and in actuality it really kind of isn't, okay? There's a lot of mistakes, a lot of learning curves, a lot of products that were embroidered on and it just didn't come out right, and then people just have to toss them and start all over again. So there's a lot of misperceptions out there and stuff. So I just wanted to touch point on some of it because I was working on some stuff, and I, like everybody else, sometimes things work great on the fly, and then other times things just don't. So it just happens, okay? So, embroidery is something that a lot of times people have the perception that it's very easy to do, right? A lot of times, especially even people that don't know too much about it, they always think that, oh, the machine does all the work. But there are just so many things behind the scenes that have to happen in order for you to even turn on the machine, okay? Before you turn on the machine, there's a whole process that has to be, thought about before that event takes place. So, one of the things is like you got to decide what you're going to do, right? And then when you decide what you're going to do, you have to decide on what it is that you're going to embroider on. And then once you have an idea of what product you're going to embroider on, there's so many other decisions that come in afterwards, right? You have to think about your thread. You got to think about the stabilizer. You got to think about the design. Is the design dense? Is it not dense? Is it going to look well on that material? Is there extra stabilizer like topping or something like that that you have to put on? So there is a whole so much things that you have to know about, and it can become very, very overwhelming. So for a beginner, for someone that's trying to learn embroidery, a lot of times that can really deter people. And I can understand when people tell me, I bought the machine and it's in the box and I haven't taken it out. It can really get overwhelming, and it can also like get I don't know what that word is, intimidating, okay? And you see all these people doing all this stuff and it looks so easy, and then when you're sitting in front of the machine, it's kind of like, okay, what do I do, right? So it's not an easy thing to do. It can be very intimidating, especially, no matter what machine you have, okay? um you can have a single needle machine and it can scare you. You can have a multi needle machine and it can scare you too. All right. I remember when I first got my machine. I mean, I was kind of like, okay, if you guys watched the very first video of when I did the unboxing of the SC1900, I mean, when I rewatch it, I kind of laugh because I looked at the knee lifter and I was like, I don't know what this is for. And even something as simple as small as a seam ripper, okay? I didn't know that that thing came apart and that it was actually a seam ripper. I was just looking at it and I was like, is this a pen? I don't know what it was, right? So when you're new and you look at the machine and it's something you really want to try, it can really get intimidating. So what ends up happening is you end up building this fear, right? And because there's fear with reason, okay? Because I don't want folks to say, well, just get over the fear. You have to understand that everything has a purpose, right? Sometimes when you become fearful of something, it's because it's unknown. And when you're looking at this embroidery machine, all right, first of all, especially if you have the Brother SC 1900, you already know that out of your pocket, okay, you just spent $1,000, okay, unless you're one of those lucky people that were able to get a second hand or something like that, or get it when it was like on a really good sale. I saw somebody commented today on one of my videos, and they got so super lucky. They hit the gold mine. They were able to get that machine for $250. I was like, oh, she did good. Okay. And then I had heard of some people that were able to buy the machine for like $800 on Amazon. I have never seen it that low, but I know at one time it did go that low, but now it's like, I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever see that price again. But kudos to that young lady that was able to snag one for like $250. I was like, whoa, that is like awesome. Okay. So you already know. You already, so that's already in your mind. You spend all this money on this machine, right? The last thing you want to do is to mess with it and you break it, right? But the thing is, this is how I look at it. If you break it, you can get it fixed. It's okay. But I do understand the fear. You know what I'm saying? It's like you don't want to mess with it and not know what you're doing, and all of a sudden you press the wrong button, and next thing you know, you messed up the where you put the needle in, you messed up the pressure foot, or you messed up the needle threader and stuff like that. So, it's and those are valid fears. But the thing is, one thing that I usually tell people is, you okay, you have this fear. Take a moment and take it in. Look at the machine, but you're gonna have to get to the point where you're gonna have to touch the machine and you're gonna have to turn it on, because if not, then you just spent $1,000 on something you're just gonna stare at, right? So it doesn't make sense. Okay. So you do have to get over that hump. And for some people it's a little easier to get over it, and for some people they need that moment, okay? So, and it's okay. But the thing is, at the end of the day, you invested in it, get over it, do it. Okay? I mean, when you're ready, just do it. I mean, I've even heard people say they had it, they kept it in the box for a month, okay? Totally got it. But the thing is, you got it for a reason. So let's use it. Okay. So one of the things is you really have to get over that fear. The other thing that, really can make embroidery kind of like a blah thing is the mistakes. Okay. Everyone makes them. I make them. Okay. I love making my kitchen towels, but I have a closet full of kitchen towels that I embroidered, got a bunch of snags on them, didn't line it up correctly in the hoop or something like that. And what I did was I just took the towel, cut it in half, fold it up, and I have them in my closet. Okay. I have a whole bunch of them, because what went through my mind was, okay, I wasted that towel, but I'm not going to have that towel become a total waste. So what I'll do is I'll just cut that towel in half. And I do know they have like the in the hoop towel holders. So I'm like, I can embroider the other half of the towel, and then I'll just hook that up to a towel holder. That's the plan. Okay. Haven't gotten there yet, but that's what I plan on doing and stuff. So anyway, there's gonna be mistakes. Okay. I don't care who you see out there, and I don't care how long they have been doing embroidery. to this day, I bet you they still make mistakes. Okay. So you have to look at the mistake as a learning experience. Don't be afraid of it. Okay. And when you're practicing your embroidery, practice on cheap stuff. Okay. Go to Michael's, buy felt. Felt is like 20 cents a sheet. Okay. Go to Michael's, get your discounted gift card of Michael's. Okay. Like I showed you guys on raise.com. Get those discounted gift cards. That way you're not paying the full price. If you're military, you're a teacher, make sure you get your 15% off and get those felts and use felt to practice. Okay, just to practice doing appliques, practice your designs. If you buy a new design and you don't, you want to see how it's going to turn out before actually putting it on a shirt or a jacket or something like that, just use the felt, or just buy a yard of fabric. Just buy a plain yard of fabric, cotton fabric, and then cut it up in squares and then hoop that. Okay, if you want to practice floating or something like that, buy a yard, cut it up, and there goes your practice. And you can sit there all day and you can practice on your fabric or your felt or whatever it is you want to try to embroider on, and just practice your designs. And as you start practicing, you're going to make mistakes. Okay, but the thing is also is when you make those mistakes, what's going to happen is you're actually going to learn from them. And that is really, to me, the best way to learn, because what ends up happening is you start to dissect what happened, right? Like, oh, my needle broke, or the stitches aren't coming out too great. Oh, the stitches aren't coming out too great because I've been using the same needle for a whole month and I'm only supposed to be, using the needle for like 8 hours of sewing. So you kind of learn, right? So now and sometimes from the experience, right? Let's say you're new, right? And you're like, okay, I'm going to change my needle every 8 hours because that's what everybody says, right? But you never experience what happens if you don't change out that needle, that the needle becomes dull, right? And usually people that are experienced or have been doing it for a while, they'll know when a needle becomes dull because it'll sound like it's knocking, right? And, when you're sewing, it's going to sound like a knocking sound. You get to know your machine. You get to understand the sounds of the machine. You know when the machine is sewing well, and you also know when there's an issue going on with the machine, which is like the knocking sound when the needle is going up and down, and it's because the needle is dull. You start to learn those things. And then what happens is you start understanding why certain people say certain things. Because once you start embroidering and then you notice that the holes on your fabric are getting bigger, you start then also learning not just that you have to change your needle every 8 hours because needles get dull. Then you start learning about the sizes of the needle. Okay. You start learning about the size of the needle, because, the needle has two sizes. It has the pointy side that goes up and down in the fabric. And then you also have the side with the hole where the thread goes through. And as you start experimenting with different needle sizes, you also start to understand why you use certain needle sizes for certain fabrics and certain threads. Because sometimes you need the whole of the needle for you to put the thread through to be bigger. Because if you don't have it bigger, then you have what's called shredding, which is when the needle's going up and down, and all of a sudden your thread starts to bunch up, and it looks like it's all crumbled up, and you're like, what is going on? Why do I keep getting all this shredding? Well, maybe it's because you need a needle with a bigger eye, a bigger hole in there for you to thread it because it's putting too much. Then you start understanding why sometimes, even though the brother SC 1900 stitches 650 stitches per minute, you have to sometimes slow down your machine. Okay, like let's say when you're using metallic thread, you start to understand what metallic thread is just by buying your first spool of metallic thread. You start to feel it and you're like, oh, this feels wiry. And then when you start to embroider with it, then all of a sudden you notice that it starts to break. And then you're like, that's why I should be slowing down the machine. So, mistakes to me, I always feel that that is something that we have to learn to embrace. A lot of times when you're embroidering and you're sewing, people don't want to make mistakes. But at the same time, and they can be very inconvenient too. Okay. Believe me, it's happened to me where I remember once when I was sewing the Diva wallet, right? I bought the course from Vanessa, the Crafty Gemini, of sewing the Diva wallet, right? The first time I sewed that, she was giving the measurements and stuff. Well, that's the thing. I didn't pay attention really to the measurements. I didn't understand the importance of the measurements, right? So the first time that I did the wallet, my credit cards weren't fitting in. The wallet was all like crooked, okay? The little snap thing wasn't snapping because it was crooked, okay? I didn't pay attention to how I was cutting the fabric and stuff like that. So those are all mistakes that, yeah, it kind of pissed me off because it was like, okay, I spent this whole time doing this wallet and now the wallet looks all jacked up. Okay. But if you really think about it, after I got my little, I had my Jeanette moment, okay, where I was pissed, but then I came out and I said, now I understand. Now I understand when she says quarter inch seam allowance, you should do a quarter-inch seam allowance. Now I understood that when I'm cutting my fabric, I really need to pay attention to the size. And I need to make sure that I'm being as careful as possible to cut straight. And I have to make sure that when I am sewing the fabrics together, that I'm aligning them right. Because you have to think of it as it's a puzzle, okay, with little loose pieces, and you're just sewing it all together. So mistakes are going to happen, but and they're going to be frustrating and stuff. But that's how you learn, that's how you get better, and that's how you improve. And you start to understand how the machine works and why certain things are a certain way, right? And it's really, it's frustrating. It can be, especially if you're a beginner, because when you're a beginner, the first thing you want to do is you just want to, like, once you get over that fear, you just want to run with that machine, right? You just want to do your thing. But then what ends up happening is when you're doing your thing and then it doesn't work out, then something else is going to creep in, where this is another blah moment. You start to get discouraged. And then you come out and you say, this isn't for me. It's not working out. Everything's coming out like crap and it doesn't look good. Who's going to wear it? Who's going to want it? Stuff like that. And then you get discouraged. And then what happens is then you're not going to want to keep sewing and you're not going to want to keep embroidering because you didn't slow down the machine and because of all that stuff. But in that situation, that's when you need to learn how to just walk away, give yourself that moment, because I had to do that. Okay. I don't know if you guys saw the video of my 36 shirts horror thing. That was wow. That was stressful. Okay. But I learned so, so much. And my girlfriend Robin had told me when I was going through that, she said, walk away. But I was so stubborn and I didn't want to walk away because I wanted to finish those shirts. But the thing is, she was right. I had to walk away because what happens is your frustration level is up there and then you start to get discouraged and it's like then it's kind of like you're not in your zone anymore and you're like, you know, sewing singana, that's like how do you say it in English? You're sewing without, you don't have that passion, you don't have the passion to sew anymore. So it's like you're doing it, but you're doing it without wanting to do it. That's what it is. It's doing it without wanting to do it. So that can really put a damper on it, right? So you don't want to do that. So what you want to do is you really want to try to um you got to make your mistakes, embrace them. It's going to happen. It's okay. And you know what? I mean, there is one thing that Susie from the quilt shop that I buy from all the time, from Susie's Quilt Shop in Manassas. One thing she told me once, it'll always stick to my head. Okay, it will always stick to my head. She was like, Jeanette, it's just fabric. It's just fabric. There's lots of fabric. You can always buy more fabric. The fabrics are not gonna run out. Okay, and that's the other thing too, is that you buy a piece of fabric and then you get pissed off because you messed it up, and then you're afraid to cut it because you don't want to cut it wrong and all that kind of stuff. It's just fabric. You can get more. The world is not going to, and she's right. And she is so right, because that's the thing. I was putting stress on myself. And I'm like, what? She's right. I mean, Joanne's not going to run out of fabric. She's not going to run out of fabric. There's lots of fabric stores out here. And how many times do you go into a fabric store and then you see a piece of fabric, and then when you go to another store, you see one that's nicer and nicer and nicer? So don't worry about the mistakes. They're going to happen. Just, it is what it is. If anything, keep the item, because a year from that day, I mean, it may not be the next week or the next month, maybe, because you'll probably still be a little pissed, but you'll laugh about it. Okay. I kind of wish that I sold my first, that I kept the first curtain that I sewed. Okay. It was a long time ago. I think my son was about like 4 years old. I bought a sewing machine. It was a Singer machine. And that was the first time I was trying to learn how to sew. My mom was visiting from New York. She was still working at that time. She was trying to teach me how to sew. I was so impatient, and she was telling me so slow. So as soon as she stepped out of the room, right, I hit that pedal and I went zoom, zoom, and I just sewed the whole, and it was, all I wanted to do was a curtain valance, right? And I just did it real fast and stuff. Now she heard it because she was outside the room and she could hear the machine. So she didn't say anything. And then when she came back in the room, she said, okay, Jeanette, let's hang it. Well, I'm gonna tell you something. You know how a valance is supposed to be kind of square, okay? Well, the part where she was in the room, it was square. When she left, it went square, and then it went like that. And when I hung it, and it was like half of it was good, then it went like that, my mom just cracked up laughing. And then she looked at me, and then she said, that's why you so slow. So I'll never forget that. I'll never. I wish I kept that curtain, okay? Because I was pissed, and I was like, I can't believe it, because I messed up. That was fabric. But I learned the hard way, and that's another thing too. I learned time. Embroidery and sewing takes time. Okay, it takes time. It takes focus. It takes concentration. The one thing that bothers me is the pressure. And that comes a lot when you're selling items, okay? When you're selling stuff, sometimes people say, I want something, and they're like, well, I want it in a day, okay? Now, I will do a 1 day turnaround if it's something that I have done like a dozen times, and I know for sure I'm good at it, and I can pull it off. But, and it also depends on what it is, okay? Because if you ask me to do something that I know it's a lot of work, okay, and it's going to take me like several days to do. Like, for instance, when I gifted my mom her family heirloom blanket, right? That took 4 days to do, because that blanket consists of 10 different embroidery designs. I had to hoop it 10 different times. And to create the designs alone took a long time, because every embroidery design was different. Okay, it had different name, different year, and different design. So someone, when they asked me to do it, I was like, nope, not doing it. First of all, I already know the amount of detail that goes into that. That is not a 1 day turnaround project. That is probably several weeks, for the simple fact that, especially if I was planning on selling something like that, do you know the amount of time that I would have to sit down with the customer to look at different embroidery designs, different names, and stuff like that, and get those designs down pat. Then have to talk about the placements of each of these designs. And then after I get all the information from the customer, then I would have to hoop that item to the machine. So when I did that blanket for my mom, that was 10 different embroidery designs on that heirloom blanket. So I had to actually rehoop that blanket 10 times. Okay. So I kind of like, I'm going to be honest with you. When I was doing that blanket, I was thinking, oh God, thank God she only had 2 kids. And then I said, thank God I only had 1 kid and that Nancy only had 2. Because I could only imagine someone with a very big family. Okay. I mean, you're talking about an embroidery design for all the children and then all their grandkids. I mean, that would be like hours. All right. So think about the time, that can be a downer sometimes, when you're working on something. So, one of the things that I always tell people when it comes to that, especially if you are selling something, right? Make sure that you establish a very good processing time. And it's not just for the customer, it's for you. Okay. Because you every day you're not going to wake up in this glory like, oh, I want to sew today. I mean, you got to be in that zone. Okay, that sewing zone. There are times when I do wake up and I'm in a funky mood. Okay, I don't want to turn on the embroidery machines. I don't want to turn on the sewing machine. I just want to lay down, watch movies, or sometimes I just want to go out to dinner or really just go to a winery or something. I'm just not in that sewing zone. Okay. So if I tell people, yeah, I can turn a product around in one day or something like that, then what happens is I don't have that flex time. And you're kind of like committing your time to just do that turnaround day. Okay. So a lot of times when you see like I have listings in Etsy and it has like it ships the next day, it's usually because I already have those done, embroidered in stock. So when the order comes in, all I have to do is just reach for it, package it up, and ship it out. If it's something that's like personalized and stuff like that, and also depends on the design. If it's, sometimes it only takes an hour and stuff. But even though sometimes I don't want to do that hour, you know you want time for you. So when it comes to the time pressure, be very conscientious of that. Okay. And when you're doing gifts for friends, this isn't really much of an issue because you're doing it because you want to do it and you're going to do it at your own time, right? When your friend's birthday's coming, when anniversary's coming and all that kind of stuff, right? But when you're selling stuff, make sure that you're putting down the processing times. Not just, you do want to get it to the customer as quickly as you can, but don't sacrifice your time. That's really what I'm saying because you want to make sure that you enjoy what you do. The last thing you want to do is to turn something that you love and enjoy into something that it just becomes a pain. Okay. That's not why we're in this game, right? Or at least that's not for me. Okay. I actually got my sewing machine because I love doing it. I wanted to learn. I wanted to, and then I embraced embroidery and I actually enjoy it. If I can make money off of it, great. If I don't, I'm good with that too. Okay. So that was something else that I had mentioned about, that I wanted to talk about that can be kind of like a downer, the time pressure. Okay. The other thing, and this is especially for those that are doing this for a business, I hate the administrative part of it. Okay. When you are in the embroidery business, you have to track everything. You have to track all your expenses. You have to track your mileage. You have to track your receipts because you have to write all this stuff on your taxes, okay? You have to track, how much you're spending on your equipment, on your supplies, on your threads. You have to track how much income you're bringing in. I use QuickBooks to try to track all, do my invoicing, collect the money, and keep track of all my expenses and everything. But let me tell you, I mean, it's a pain. I don't like it. Okay, I really don't. I prefer to spend my time in front of the machine creating stuff. I hate doing the administration part of it. And let me tell you, I have tried to pimp this off to other people. Okay, I tried to get Carlito involved. I was like, "Oh, do you want to do the QuickBooks?" He was like, "No." And then I even tried to get Fred to do it, and Fred just gave me that look, going, "This is your thing, not mine." Okay. And of course, Mello can't do it. So I'm kind of stuck with it. All right. But what I did was I scheduled my Fridays as my administrative day. So Friday is the day that I go and I make sure that I update QuickBooks for all my expenses, any, purchases, whatever, and I update all my mileage in there and everything, because you can write off your mileage. Okay. You can, if you have lunch with a customer and stuff, you write off that lunch. When you're driving to Joann's to buy fabric, or you're going to the sewing shop to buy bobbins or fabric or whatever, that mileage is a tax write-off and everything. So make sure that you got to track everything. And don't do this mistake, guys. Sometimes people, they just do their thing all year, and then when tax time comes, they're like, "Oh man." Then they're struggling looking for receipts and all that kind of stuff. Don't do that, because what's going to happen is you are going to miss out, because you're not tracking everything to the penny. And then what's going to happen is you're going to forget about the time that you drove somewhere to get something, or the time that you met a client and you paid for the dinner and stuff, and the time, how many times you drove into the post office and everything, and all your receipts. I mean, unless you keep them in a box and stuff, then you got to import all that stuff and everything to give it to your accountant. It can really, that is going to be really, really stressful. And that's where a lot of mistakes happen. So I strongly recommend come up with a schedule. Mine is Friday. I do it every Friday morning. I go into QuickBooks, I launch it, I put in all my receipts, all my driving, and I also have my planner. And whenever I drive somewhere, I write it down in my planner that I went to Joann's or I went to the sewing shop or something like that. So that way I don't forget what I did the remaining of the week, because I'm gonna tell you, my age is getting up there. So sometimes I forget stuff. So I have to write it down. So I do write down all that stuff. So that's just one little piece of advice, regarding the administrative thing. I mean, I hate it, but we all have to do it, especially if you are doing embroidery, and sewing as a business. Okay. The other thing that I kind of find unpleasant, but you got to do it, okay, is the management of your supplies. Okay. The last thing you want to do is to be embroidering and then all of a sudden you ran out of thread of a particular color that you need in a design. Because then what happens is you have to switch out the design, and you have to pray that you did not start embroidering with that color thread that you just ran out. Because if you did, then what's going to happen is that design is going to be half one color and then half the other. And it might look a little funky. Okay. So, managing supplies, very, very important. I do that monthly. I look at the stack of all my stabilizers, okay? And I make sure that if I'm running low on a particular type of stabilizer, I order it. I make sure that I look at all my bobbins and stuff. I do this on a monthly basis. I always do it at the very end of the month. And then what I do is I take note of my bobbins. I take note of my threads, okay? My stabilizers, my kitchen napkins. Okay, there was a time when I ran so low on the ivory kitchen napkins, and it was like right by the Christmas time, and then I couldn't get replacements. Okay, so I had to update all of my listings to say white towel only available. Okay, even though I usually use ivory for some of those designs in my Etsy shop. So, now that they have ivory back in stock, I went and I ordered like 10 packs. So now I have so many towels. And what I'm going to do moving forward, lesson learned, I'm not going to wait till I have 10 towels left. Okay. I'm actually going to wait till I have about like maybe like 50 towels left. And then I'm going to be like, okay, time for me to order another 50. So that way I have plenty. Okay. Because I don't know what is going on, but there's like this mega shortage on so many things out there now, like with bobbins. I use magnetic bobbins for my multi-needle machines. I actually had to drive out to the sewing shop, to Susie's Quilt Sewing Shop, and I bought Susie out. I was like, okay, I need these bobbins. I mean, I have other bobbins that I can use, but the thing is, sometimes it throws off the tension on the machine. So I just told her, I said, do you have them? And she goes, well, I only have one box left. I was like, I'll buy those and I'll buy any others that you have in the shop. I mean, I'll just give them to me. I'll pay you for it. I mean, I had to buy her out. And then today I ordered a box of these bobbins 2 months ago, and I just got it in the mail today. So there is a big shortage that's going on. So I don't know what's happening and stuff, but lesson learned. I'm actually going to go now, and I'm going to see if I can search and see if I could buy maybe like, I don't know, I'll probably buy like 7 boxes of those bobbins that I use, because you got to have a well stocked supply of certain things. Okay. And also buy parts for your machine. Okay. I just fixed the needle threader on my multi-needle machine. Very easy to do. I tried to film it today, but it was kind of it was kind of hard to do. But I plan on filming that, because I know that's going to help a lot of people if you have a brother machine, on how to fix your needle threader. Because the needle threader, for some reason, it kind of gets caught a lot. And I just I think I've changed it now like 3 or 4 times. So sometimes people don't know how to change it, and they have to take this to a sewing machine. That'll save you guys a lot of money if you just do it yourself, because the part itself is only like $15. Okay. All you have to do is know how to open up the machine, pop out the old one, and put in the new one. It's not hard. So I am going to definitely do a video on how to do that, so I can help folks out there save some of that money. Okay. um let me see, what else did I put in here? Oh yeah, and then another point about managing supplies. Okay, there are certain things that I buy in bulk. Okay, but the thing is, because I know you use them when you are starting out, and you start to buy things. One of the things that I tell people is take note of what you're using a lot of. Okay, before even attempting to buy in bulk, because you can end up buying too much of something that you're really not using. Okay, and then you can also go the other way, where then you're not buying enough of the stuff that you really are using. So, really do take a note of your inventory. And when it comes to the thread, take a note of the color threads that you are using. What particular colors do you use most in your designs? Okay. Not, we all start off with a set, right? Okay. Like I started with the Brother Reed set has 63 colors. Okay. Now, there are some colors in that set that I use a lot of. And those are the ones where I say, all right, I know I use that a lot. So what I do is I go and I find the comparable color in the Madeira. And then what I do is I just go to All Stitch. Is it all? Yeah, it's allstitch.com. And then I buy the large combs. And I don't just buy one, I buy several. I'll buy like two, three, or four. Okay. First of all, the large combs last a very, very long time. The reason also why I buy two, three, or four is because I have 2 machines. Well, I have 3 machines, because remember, you can use the big comb on the SC 1900. Okay. Just because you have that single needle machine doesn't mean that you're stuck with those little spools. You can buy the big comb. Okay, you can get the what is it, the single, uh what is that, the spool, the spool holder, and you can put it in there, and you can thread it from the spool holder over to your SC 1900. Okay, I've shown that in videos. If you guys don't know, let me know in the comments and I'll tell you exactly what I'm talking about. I'll even show you the link so that way they're inexpensive. They're like 14 bucks, okay? But you can use the big combs. Now, the reason why I buy so many of the big combs in the same color is because I do dinner napkins. And when people buy the dinner napkins, they don't just buy one dinner napkin. They usually go, "Oh, I want to, I want to place an order of 6 or 12." Okay. So when those situations happen, I need to make sure that I can have all three machines running with, making that dinner napkin. So, of course, I'm going to need that thread for all three machines. So that way they can all three run and then I can just get them done. Okay. I don't just have one machine running, doing 12 napkins. Because let me tell you, one napkin alone is about like, well, it depends on the design. The most complex design I have takes about 40 minutes to do one napkin. Okay. So if 40 minutes to do one napkin and you ask for 12, you can only imagine that's a whole day of me running it on one machine. So that's why when it comes to when I get those big orders where it's like 6 or 12, or, and I've even gotten people that have reached out and asked for 30 or 40 of those things, then I got all three of these babies working. But in order to get all three of them working, I got to have the thread, So make sure that when you're managing your supplies, that you're actually watching the volume of what you're using and what you're not using. That way you're buying it in the right balance, okay? Because you don't want to buy too much and then you don't have that much. You don't want to buy too much. What is it? You don't want to buy too much and then you have this overflow, right? And then you don't want to buy too little and then you're struggling because you don't have anything, to work on, okay? So, the other thing that kind of like can really put you in a slump. Customers, okay? Customers, they're people, they're people, right? We're people, right? So everybody's different. Everybody has a different style on how they handle situations, on how they communicate, and all that kind of stuff and everything. There are going to be times when you have customers that come to you and they seem a little aggressive or whatever, right? So, what you want to do is you need to know that when you're in the business of embroidery, you're going to have to know how to handle certain customers. You're going to have to understand where they're coming from, and you got to learn how to deal with the different personalities. Sometimes you can have unpleasant moments, all right? You can have moments where, it can get kind of sticky. But one of the things that you should think about is you're in control of your business, okay? This is your business. So it's like you can defuse the situation and all that kind of stuff. And then at the same time, you know, you don't have to take every job. If you find that the person is not willing to be flexible with you because they want something at a certain time and you can't produce, don't take it because that's just going to put stress on you. And at the same time, you don't want to end up having a bad vibe with anybody. Okay. I find that being straight up honest with the customers really pays off in the end. Okay. It really does. And I feel also that when you are straight up honest with them, okay, they respect you for that too. And, there have been times where I tell people, there's ways you can say it. You could be like, I don't feel comfortable. I just kind of feel some kind of way and I really want to avoid issues. And I just tell them up front like that. I just tell them, I just go, I don't think I have your vision. I don't think I can do what you want. Or, I don't have the time, or I don't like that time constraint. It's not how I like to work. So you can just be very honest. I mean, and this is how I look at it. If I'm honest, and I tell you up front what it is that's bothering me about this transaction, and you're not receptive, you're not the person that I really want to do business with. Okay. The other thing too that can be kind of uncomfortable and like, ugh, like whatever, is when we start to talk about the pricing of stuff. Okay. You guys have heard me say it all the time. You know, don't allow people to contradict what it is that you should be charging for what you do. Okay. You know the value of your of how you stitch, how you sew, and your time, and you know about all the cost of the materials and everything that you use to do your embroidery, okay? Now, to me, it's this is how I look at it. When I quote a price, I look at it from both sides, okay? I look at it from the customer's perspective and mine as well. I'm not looking to make people broke, okay? What I am looking to do is to make sure that I'm fair to the customer and myself. I'm not going to give away my stuff. So when I tell a price, okay, I consider it fair for both ends. If I find that the customer is then want to negotiate and say, I don't want to pay that, I want to pay something lower or whatever, then to me, I'm like, okay, then you need to find somebody else. Because the thing is, I'm not going to cut off, my arm, okay, just so you could feel good at the end of the day. Because it's about how I feel as well, and I enjoy what I do, and it's not something that I'm just willing to do. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I am right off the front. Okay. It's about fair pricing. All right. And when people tell me I can get it cheaper, go get it cheaper. That's fine. I'm okay with that. It doesn't bother me. Let them deal with this stress. Okay. I don't want to deal with it because to me, this is something that I enjoy doing, and that's how I want to feel when I'm making something for someone. So to me, it's like that's just how I am. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I know it's comfortable for me. So, my whole thing is, dealing with people and customers and stuff like that. It can be difficult. It really, really, truly can be. Okay. So you have to prepare yourself mentally for it, and just know what your I don't know how you say that. Know what your limits are. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Know what your limits are. I always tell people, if you have a bad vibe, don't do the job. Just don't. Because what happens is then you're not enjoying it, because you're already starting off with that bad vibe. So don't. Just let it go. Okay. The other thing that is kind of like one of the things with embroidery and sewing is you have to be in that zone. You know what I'm saying? And I think what I'm saying is, like, when I say the zone, it's like you got to be in the mood. Okay. Um, I that which is why processing times to me is important, okay? Because I want to do it because I want to do it. I don't want to do it because, God, I gotta meet this deadline and all that stuff. And it's like, ugh. I don't want to do that. I want to enjoy it. So to me, it's like getting that zone, that special feeling of embroidering and sewing. That's the whole reason why we do it, because we love it and we want to keep that feeling. I mean, I just love it when I go to the Facebook group and I see, like, Cindy, like, she loves her sewing. She is enjoying her sewing. She's doing bags and all that stuff. She's so proud of herself when she's done doing something and she posted out there, and her sewing is beautiful. I mean, it has been improving greatly. I mean, and I love it, and I could see the pride that she has in that, and I see the pride in all of us. When we finish doing something and we post it out there and we're like, look what I did. The lady, that there was a lady out there, God, I forgot her name. She wanted to do slippers for her girlfriends, right? They were getting together and stuff like that, and she reached out, and she was like, how do you embroider slippers? So I said, well, okay, well, all right, the slippers on the SC 1900, I know there's just no way, you're gonna have to unsew it and all that stuff. Patches. Try patches. She did the patches, she ironed it on, she put a picture out there. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. I was like, oh my gosh, she did it. Look at that. And I know she had to feel good about herself. I mean, that's why it's so important to have, you want to do something in the mood, and you want to do something that you enjoy, and you want to keep that, because that's why we do this. So that's like so, so important. Okay. The other thing that can kind of like really suck, okay, is when you get your machine errors, all right? When the machine fails on you, okay? When you're like sewing or something like that, and then all of a sudden, I know in the multi-needle, I get wiper error when my needle threader stopped working, okay? And I was kind of like, great, now I have to manually thread all my needles. I have never experienced my needle threader not working on the Brother SC 1900. I know some folks have had issues with that, okay? And I've done a couple of videos on possible things that you could be doing wrong, and maybe that's why your needle threader's not working on it. Maybe the needle's not all the way up. Maybe you inserted the needle wrong. You know, and I heard some people actually had to take their machine in to get that repaired as well. But and one of the things I want to look into is how do you, because I know how to repair the needle threader on the multi-needle machine. I want to learn when that breaks, how do you do that? So when I have the technician, because I'm going to be talking to the guy that I use, Justin, to fix my machines. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to ask him if he can show me how to fix that one, even though right now it's not broken. But I really want to know for the future, because I do know that some people have had problems with the needle threader in the Brother SC 1900. So, and nothing lasts forever. Okay, nothing lasts forever. Things break. These are machines. All right. They're going to break on their own, or you might accidentally do something to break it. Okay, like I know I accidentally sometimes tug too hard on the multi-needle machines, and that's why my needle threader sometimes gets all jacked up. Okay, and I've had to replace it already. So you know it happens. Okay, one of the things also that I do advise on the machines also is when the machine breaks. This is one of the things that I usually do also, is when I take my machine in for repair, try to sit down with the technician, watch them, okay? Ask them, what are you doing? Why do you do that? And stuff like that. And also buy spare parts, because what happens is when you go to the technician to fix your machines, that's money. Okay. Now, yeah, if you have a business, you write it off. Okay. It's part of your business expenses and stuff. But let's say you don't have a business and this is something that you just do because you want to enjoy. Well, if your needle threader starts breaking and all that kind of stuff and everything, it can, and you start taking it into the sewing machine all the time, that cost of repair can go up. So learn how to fix your own machine. Also, buy the parts as you are learning. Buy the parts, and don't just buy one. Buy two. Okay. The needle threader for these machines, I already have 4 in stock, and I just went today and I bought 4 more. So that way, when Christmas comes and stuff like that, and I'm really working these machines, if it breaks, I have plenty of spares on hand. I don't have to order it online and wait a couple of days for it to come in order for me to repair it. Okay, so try to learn to repair your own machine on your own, because that will really save you a lot of money in the long run and stuff. And buy the extra spare parts if you can, and have 1 or 2 handy, because you don't want to, like, it broke and then all of a sudden you can't fix it, and then you have to wait for the part to come in. If it broke and you got the spare part here, great. Okay, well, what are you waiting for? Just get in there, go in there and fix it now so you can keep rocking and rolling. So that's just, another thing that I had jot down. The thing is too is embroidery is not easy. Okay, it may look easy, okay, especially when you see people doing it. You watching videos and people just have the machines going, and they're like, oh, you just do this, they do it real quick and everything like that. It is not easy, and there is just so much to learn. And when you are new to the world of embroidery, it can be very, very overwhelming and intimidating. Okay, because I remember watching Eve of the Baby Booty one time, right? When I was first trying to learn, okay? And I was watching her. She was talking about all the color threads that she has. And then she started going into the stabilizer, that there was light stabilizer, there were medium stabilizer, there were heavy stabilizer, there was sticky stabilizer, there was no show mesh stabilizer. Then she talked about tender touch. When she was done, I was kind of like, oh my God, what the heck? How many stabilizers? When I purchased my single needle machine, all I did was bought a pack of medium tearaway stabilizer. That's it. That's it. And then I just started embroidering and embroidering. But as time goes on, you start to understand about what people mean when they say certain things, like it's a dense design, or what, tearaway stabilizer versus cutaway stabilizer, when to use it, when to look at the different weights of stabilizer, when is it appropriate to use heavy stabilizer versus light, when should you use no show mesh. That all starts to come together, and that's going to take time. And when you are new, okay, it can get very intimidating, because then you end up getting confused. And the other thing too is that's when the hard news hits you. That's when you start realizing, oh, this is expensive. Okay? It's not just buying a machine, it's not just buying a pack of threads and one pack of stabilizer. There's more things involved. And that's when you start learning about the different scissors. I didn't know about the different scissors. I bought one scissor and I was using that to cut thread, fabric, and paper. And then after like 1 week, the scissors wasn't even cutting the fabric right. And then I found out that you don't do that, because the scissors that I was using, once you cut paper and other stuff, they get dull. And when they get dull, they don't cut fabric as smooth as you first were getting them. Because I had bought the Cricut scissors and I was like, oh, these things cut like butter. And they were cutting the fabric really, really good. But then what ended up happening was then I started using the scissor for everything. I was cutting paper, I was cutting cardstock and all that kind of stuff. Then when I went to cut my fabric, it was like fraying all over the place and I had to cut several times. And then that's when I learned that's why we have applique scissors. That's why we have embroidery scissors. That's why we have fabric scissors. I mean, that's why we have snips. And I was like, that's why we have, and there's a reason for curved snip scissors and the real pointy scissors. they have a purpose. They truly have a purpose. But no one's gonna know that coming off the bat. And everybody's, when you first are new, it can be really, really intimidating, because you see this and then you see everybody doing their thing and everything looks perfect, everything looks fine, nobody's making a mistake, nobody makes a mistake. And I'm gonna tell you something, and when I do my videos, if I make a mistake, I leave it. I leave it for the simple fact that I don't want, what if, this is what goes to my mind. Okay. If there's a beginner that's watching the video, I want them to know that we all make the mistakes. And at the same time, you learned in that video that what I just did, don't do it. Because as you can see, it didn't work. Okay. So that, just like when I did the video of cleaning the hoops. Okay. I bought that go-go gone and stuff. Now, I'm not saying the product doesn't work. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that I had the alcohol and then I had the go-go gone and I was just cleaning them up. And I was just looking at the two, and I honestly thought that I was going to like the go-go gone at the end. Okay. But thankfully, I really like that people really comment a lot on the videos and they even shared their personal experience. And some people had mentioned that they watered down the go-go gone. Some people had mentioned that maybe I didn't leave it long enough. And they did agree about the greasiness and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, when I worked with the alcohol, I felt like I was in a hospital, because everything was so squeaky clean. And then when I did the go-go gone, I love the orange smell, right? Because it smelled like orange. But it felt greasy. So, but it's all learning experience, and it's just something that, you're gonna have your ugh moments. It's gonna happen, okay? And you're gonna have the moments where you're not in the zone, okay? You're just not feeling it and stuff like that. And that's gonna happen. It's okay. So don't worry about that kind of stuff, okay? So anyway, those were the things that I had put down in there about some of the things that can be kind of like, you know, things that can be kind of not so great about embroidery, but I don't know. We'll just see. We all have our moments, and stuff. So it's always I like to go down the comments and I like to share some of the tips and stuff also that people say. I see Miss Max is hanging out with her daughter today and stuff. Hey Yolanda, how are you? Hey Robin. Hey Norma, how are you? Hey Jeannie. I see Iris, Robin. Everybody saying hi to everybody. Hey Trisha. Hey Missy Moon. Hey Glenny. Hey Sassy. Hey Tracy. Hey Lynette. And I see Eartha, Deanne. Hey Donna. I see Cheryl. And guys, if you have questions and stuff, ask away and stuff. That is why I love your channel, because you show your mistakes. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. We all make them. We all make them. I mean, and I don't know if you guys saw the last video. I did a pocket pillow for my girlfriend Robin, right? Because I went to go visit her because I haven't seen her in a while, right? So I drove all the way to her house to go visit her to have lunch. And when I was doing the video, when I first started out, I was thinking, no, you can't really do this on a single needle machine. That's what I was thinking. You cannot embroider this on a flatbed machine. However, though, as I was doing the video and I started messing around with it, I think you can. And you'll see in the video, I said, hey, wait a minute, you can maneuver this and you can put this on a flatbed. So I told you guys, scratch that. Do it. There's ways around it, So sometimes, you're working on stuff and you think you can do it a certain way, and you end up learning while you're you're doing your project and stuff like that. So I like leaving them in, and I always tell people, Gina, right? I mean, Jillian, from the beginning, I always tell people, I like my videos to be raw. I don't do all that fancy stuff. I don't care for it. It's about sharing the information because I feel like that helps people, So I just prefer, that's my style, So I don't know. Hey Karen, how are you? Hey Chantel. Hey Shirley. Hey Lisa, how are you? Hey Harmony. Harmony, I got the shirt. Thank you so much. If for you guys that don't know, Harmony has a Etsy shop and she sells these shirts, really, really beautiful. I got one for my son. I got him the Black Lives Matter shirt hoodie, and I'm putting it in the mail to him tomorrow. So he doesn't know that I got it for him. So I know he's gonna love that shirt. I know it. So thank you so much for the shirt, Harmony. I appreciate that. Hey, Barbara. And let's see. Oh my God, so hard. Nuvi here. Sandra, don't get discouraged. Just do it. Do it, girl. Do it. You can do it. You can do it. So down to earth and real. Thanks for all you do. Oh, Sandra, anytime. And if you need help, please join that Facebook group, and whatever issues you have, something's not working right, put it out there, okay? And embrace those mistakes. That's how you're going to learn. Trust me. Trust me. And it's okay to get mad. Believe me, I get mad too. So it's all right. It just happens, okay? And stuff. Hey, Danielle, how are you? I just posted my very first embroidery project on the Facebook. I finally stopped reading the manual and just tried something. Yes, Danielle, sometimes you have to do it. And Danielle, this is another thing that I do that kind of helps me. The owner's manual, if you go over to the brother's website, you can download the owner's manual on a PDF. Okay. So, one of the things that I do is I download it to a PDF and I save it to the desktop of my computer. And then what I'll do is if I ever get stuck on something when working on the machine, and I do this with all my machines, then what you do is you can open up the PDF on your computer and just search. Do a find, right? And then just search, tension. Let's say you're having a problem with your tension, right? Open up the PDF, do a search on tension, that way you could just read that section that you're just having the issue on. Changing needles. Just search and there you go. That way you don't have to read the whole thing at once, okay? You have it right there on your desktop and it's searchable. And whenever you run into a snag of some sort and you just need to refer to the manual, it's a very easy way to do it instead of having this big book and then you're turning pages trying to figure it out. So it's just a little tip and stuff. It's something that kind of works for me and stuff. Hey Nana, how are you? Thank you. Hey Allison, how are you doing? Kisses melt. Mellow, Allison's kissing you. Well, Mellow is right here. Here, I'll show you. Taking his nap. The helper. He's taking his nap and stuff. So, hey Iris. Lynette, I don't understand on how to get on Jeanette's Facebook group. Okay, Lynette, if you go onto the Facebook, okay, do a search on Embroidery Happy Hour Adventures and you'll be able to find it. Once you get there, just click on join and then it's going to ask you some questions, okay? And the question is just going to be, if I remember correctly, I think it's what machine you have and if you understand the rules of the group. That's all. And then once you do that, you can automatically get in. If you have any problems and stuff, then just put a message down to the comments and I'll try to help you out, okay? And so, hey Christian, how are you? I see the Facebook group, but I can't see how to join in the group. There should be a join button on there, okay, to join the group. Okay. So and you know what I'll do, Lynette? If you in the comments put down what your Facebook name is, then what I could do also is I can send you an invite. Okay, we can do it that way. All right, to help you out and stuff. Hey Evelyn, how are you? Hey Needlepoint. Let's see. I went through the house and collected towels, rose teas, tea towels, etc. Sandra, that is one thing too that is really funny because when you first start to learn how to embroider, you do get excited. And then before you know it, you're looking for blanks everywhere. Okay. Now, one of the things that I say to do is I talked about the fabric, right? Try to buy like a yard of fabric. You can cut it up and you can practice on that. Another thing you can do too is buy blanks that are cheap. Okay. Like for instance, the baby onesies that I buy, I go to Kohl's. And what I do is I get discounted gift cards, okay, for Kohl's. And then I go to Kohl's and I buy them. I like the Carter brand, okay? Because I don't like buying embroidery blanks sometimes from certain shops because I find that you're paying $5 or $6 for one blank. So I'll go to Kohl's and it's like I get 5 blanks for $13.99. So I'm really just paying like $2 or $3 for a blank. So and to me they're good quality. They're just as good, and I'm not paying an arm and a leg for it. And one of the things too is that goes through my mind is the lower the cost of your blanks, the better price you can actually offer to your customers, because a lot of times when you buy something, right? Let's say you buy a sweatshirt or something like that. Let's say the sweatshirt costs you $20. So and then you have to think about the stabilizer, the thread, and everything else to embroider that. You want to give the customer a good price, but at the same time, you need to make that money back. And if you could get the same sweatshirt for $10 versus 20, then you increase your profit, right? You can increase your profit, and if you want to, you can lower your price too. It doesn't make sense to buy, expensive blanks and stuff like that. So, I mean, sometimes though you do have to think about it too. Sometimes you could get an expensive blank, but the quality is really good. And you just, and sometimes you just like working with that type of material, and that's okay. So it's just you gotta find what works for you. Not there's no right or wrong and stuff like that. And stuff. Let me see. Hey, Robin. First embroidery machine was a Singer Future C100 and used it twice. I was terrified of it. Then it was outdated. I found your YouTube, watched them, and got the SC1900 and love it. That's funny, Robin, and stuff. But um, and I know that it's terrifying. It can be because, like I said, when I first looked at the 10, I mean the machine, right? I went from the single to a six needle, right? When I first looked at the six needle, I'm gonna be honest, it was like a monster. Okay. Now, if the SC1900 looked like a monster to me, you can only imagine how I looked at the multi needle machine. I was like, what the heck is this? Like, how does this work? Because it looks so complicated, right? You have all these needles and stuff. But once you start to understand the machine and how it works, it's like, oh, this is simple. It's okay. I know it. I understand it. I mean, now it's like I could take the machine apart and just, change the needle threader on my own and everything. So who would have thought? So it takes time. You got to get over that fear and stuff. Once you get over it, you'll be fine. Someone told me, oh, hey, Teresa, someone told me a long time ago, someone told me a long time ago, mistakes make them one of a kind. Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes people need to make those mistakes two or three times before they really learn the lesson. Because I'm one of those. Because sometimes I'm like, nah, it wasn't the needle. I thought I should be able to use this needle for 3 months. And so the next thing you know, my embroidery designs have big holes in them, and then I'm like, okay, now I know. Let me see. I find that new designs need to go into Embrilliance for cleanup. Yes, needlepoint. And that is the other thing too. That's the other thing that I'm glad you brought that up. That's another blah, okay? Embroidery, whether you like it or not, okay, you're gonna have to invest in some type. And the reason why I say some type is because, you know, um, you have, I feel the same way about embroidery software as embroidery machines. You have to pick what's right for you, okay? I use Embrilliance, but I use Embrilliance because I'm a Mac user and there aren't that many. I don't know of any other really embroidery software that works on a Mac. Okay. You're gonna have to invest in some type of embroidery software because you're not only gonna have to learn the machine, you have to learn how these designs are made, and you have to learn about the different ways you can modify designs. I do have some videos that show how to clean them up. Okay, like needlepoint is saying, there's going to be times when you see an embroidery file and you think it's cute. It looks cute. Okay, but remember, they're showing you the finished product. Okay, sometimes what happens is you'll be buying an embroidery file, and then when you load it in, you find out there's so many jump stitches, or it's not the size that you needed it. Or sometimes you'll buy an embroidery design and you like the picture, but you don't like the fonts that they use. So you have to learn how to clean it up. Okay, the other thing too about cleanup is Embrilliance has something called density repair, and I did a video showing about that. Sometimes what happens is they put so many stitches in a design that sometimes the design has unnecessary stitches in it. And those unnecessary stitches can make a design very, very dense. Okay. So what the density repair kit does on an Brilliance is it looks at the whole design and it removes the unnecessary stitches. Now, what I love about it is I can have an embroidery design that has like 24,000 stitches, and then once I run that program, it's like cut down to like maybe 22,000 stitches or 21,000 stitches. What I love is when you as you become more experienced, you learn that those are unnecessary stitches. That's thread that I don't have to use. That's time that just got cut from embroidering that design. Okay, that means that if a design took 20 minutes, then I probably down to maybe 15 minutes. You just gave me back some time. Okay, so you know that is very, very true. I mean, depending on, the design you buy, where you buy it from, you know, sometimes you can get a design that is perfect, doesn't it has the right amount of jump stitches, it's not dense. Those are great. But there are times also that sometimes you have a design, and sometimes it doesn't even look that great. It looks great, but it needs some cleanup. So totally get that. And that is kind of like sometimes a downfall. And when you're new, that can be pretty intimidating too, because think about it. You're just starting to learn the machine. You're starting to, all this stuff. And then now you got an embroidery design that you got to fix. It's kind of like, what do you do with that? So it can get kind of like, ugh, you know, you can have your moment with that and stuff. Um, let's see over here. Pretty excited and wondering why it took me so long to do it. Oh, Danielle, I'm telling you, you're gonna be embroidering everything. I definitely made a big blumper this week. I put cutaway stabilizer on bath towels. I made so cute, but then proceeded to add heat and bond and had to laugh at myself. Crafty Patty, I'm telling you, Trisha, we all do it. We all do it. And you know what, too? Sometimes when you make those mistakes, you can get creative. So if you did, the cutaway, right? And you should have used tearaway. Um, just cut as close, not don't cut the stitches, but as close as you can. Just leave like a quarter inch, of between the edges of the stitches. Okay, and depend heat and bond. I mean, tender touch, or cloud cover. Get a good hot iron and a heat press. I mean, especially if they're just decorative towels. Okay, it's not like people gonna use the towels. You know what I'm saying? Or they don't use my decorative towels in this house. But somebody did once. I was like, that's not the towel you were supposed to use. That's a decoration. If they're decorative towels, then what you do is you just hang them. Okay, you can hang, and you don't even have to put tender touch. Nobody's gonna look at the back because they're just to decorate. So don't I mean, that's how I look at it. So it's not a big deal. Knowing the machine is a game changer. Yes, it is. It is, because it really improves your craft, because you know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and you understand the machine. Okay, you understand it. And so, hey Angela. Um, let's see. Hey Kathy, how are you? Hey Donna Bell. Let me see. You all know about shredding when it was a dull needle. And I love my walking foot. Yes, walking foots help a lot too. They are really good. I like my walking foot too. I really do. And stuff. Let's see. What else? Hey Miriam, how are you? Um, hey Johanna. Oh, another funny story from this week. I didn't have the Peggy Stitch eraser to clean up the thread mist, so I thought I would give my dog grooming clippers a try. They actually did work. You know what, Crafty Patty? Trish, I think you're right because you know what? And people have talked about that, okay? Because if you look at the Peggy Stitch Eraser, okay, and I have it. For those of you that don't know what it looks like, do I have it out here? Yes, I do. This is what it looks like, okay? It's actually, it's like a hair shaver, okay? You know, you could, well, I want to do that, but but that's all it is, you know? I mean, or that's all I think it is. So to me, it's like, I think if you were to buy for the hair, I think it's cheaper. So buy a cheap thing and use it for embroidery. That's what I would do. You know, I mean, I just bought this because I thought it was something special. And I'm sure it is, you know, I'm sure it does fine things. But the thing is, I'm telling you, if when this breaks, that's what I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna go to Walmart and I'm gonna buy myself some clippers, you know, and you know, some nice little cheap clippers and see if that works, you know. Because if it does, I mean, think about it. It's just cutting the bobbin thread. That's all you need to do and stuff. Okay, so what's the Peggy situation? Okay, Lynette, this is what it is. I'm glad I took it out. And so that's what it is. And all it is for you to cut the bobbin thread when you make mistakes to help clean out. And I will say I've used this because you know it has saved my butt a couple of times and stuff. Let's see. Let's see. What else do we have? Sewing without passion. Yeah, that kind of Joanna, that can like that sucks. Where did you get a walking foot? Starting to do some Donna Richard. If you look on my Amazon storefront, I have the link on the description below the video and stuff. I have the walking foot pointed out on Amazon. They're not expensive. They're not expensive at all and stuff. John Deere did a demonstration of several clippers comparing them. Oh, really? Oh, Iris, I didn't know that. Oh, so dog grooming clippers won? I have a pair for Mellow. I'll be using Mellows. He just gave me that look like, oh boy, and stuff. Let's see. I have learned hey Cheryl, how are you? I have learned some very valuable lessons from all my mistakes. I try to salvage as much as you can for use of other projects. Yeah, save your scraps. I mean, you would be surprised. You'd be surprised what you can do with scraps. You really, you know, you can do quilting and all that kind of stuff. Live and learn, Jeanette. That's right. You got to live and learn and stuff. Let's see. Let's see. Anything else? Hey, crafty Puerto Rican, how you doing, hon? 45 minutes. Yeah, and embroidery can take, and that's the other thing. Embroidery is so time consuming because the more details in a design, the longer it takes to stitch. And that's the thing also that you have to take in consideration when you're pricing stuff because you got to remember you're standing in front of that machine for a very, very long time to try to stitch out this design. And then the amount of color stitch changes and all that kind of stuff. You know, a lot of times people don't realize, you know, this craft very, very time consuming, and you do have to have a skill set. Okay, it's a skill that you're building. All right, this is not something that people just can go and just do. A lot of people have that impression that it's so easy. You just push a button. No, it's not. It really isn't, you know. And you know, it's really simple to say, you know, if it's so easy, you do it. I like to see you try. And they'll see. Put them in front of the machine and they'll see, they'll learn real quick that it's not that easy and stuff. I can't believe you work full time. So I can't believe many of us do. I only work part time and it's still hard. Lynette, and it is hard. It's all about time management to me. You know, you got to be very, very organized, and you have to be, your time, you got to manage it well. I mean, that's just how I do it, and that's how I survive. And one of the things too is, like I said, the processing times. Okay, I don't do the next day until I have them in stock. Okay, if I already have stuff in stock, then I can ship the next day. And I have my weekends and all that kind of stuff. So it is a lot. It keeps you a lot busy, but you know what, when you enjoy it and it's fun, then it doesn't feel like work. Okay, I stop when it's not feeling fun, if I'm not getting anything out of it and stuff like that. But just, yeah, people make it happen. I can't sell things I make because it's my hobby that I love, and I don't want to stress about it. And that's okay, Robin. I mean, and it's funny, I know a lot of people that they do quilting and sewing and even embroidery. They do it just for fun. They do it because they like making gifts for people. They like it because they like to decorate their homes and stuff like that with it. I mean, t- I like doing it too. So it's like, I mean, to me, if I didn't have the Etsy store, I'm fine with that. I'm okay with it. Like I said, it's not my bread and butter. Okay. The extra income is just helping me to offset some of the expenses for my son while he attends VCU. But he's gonna go to VCU whether whether I make the money or not. Believe me, mom always finds a way. Okay, so he's gonna be fine. Um, when I was young, new to sewing, I tried sewing a terry cloth robe. Fabric was white, and so was the thread. I incorrectly sewed two pieces together, and there was no way to rip it out. And Angela, we all do it. I'm telling you. I know my mom had the biggest laugh with that curtain, because she told me, because while she was sitting next to me, I was trying to rush, and she was like, "Slow down, slow down." And then she was getting mad at me. And she was like, "What's the hurry? You got to go somewhere? Where are you going? ¿Qué pasa? Like you got somewhere to go?" And I was just like, oh, you know. And then when she went to go to the bathroom, I hit that so hard. I was like, and then when she came back, I was like, "I finished." And she was like, "Oh, okay, put it on. Let's see how it looks." And she just laughed. She laughed and she said, "Now you know why you got to slow down." And I was like, "Well, because it came out crooked. Because when you go fast, you don't really it's harder for you to control the fabric, right?" So and I was new. So I just ventured out. So it was all crooked and stuff. And mom was like, "See, now you learn." So I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, it was a valuable lesson and stuff. Hey, Teresa, I've been watching some of your older videos, and I was wondering, how did the riser work out? Thinking of getting my husband to make me one. Teresa, because I have the multi machines, I have not used my riser at all. And I looked at it the other day, and I said, I got to do something with this thing. Um, this is the thing that I think about on the riser, Teresa. Something to think about. The whole purpose of the riser is to lift your machine up, so that way it can serve as an arm to put your item in so that you can embroider. The issue that I have is that the arm where you place the hoop in, it's already very, very long. So I was thinking I could use the riser so that I can do tote bags. The thing is, you would have to buy a very large tote bag in order for it to fit through the piece of the embroidery. And because you mentioned that, let me walk you over so that we can take a look at that, and I can tell you exactly what it is. Oh, I don't have my arm in there. Okay, hold on. I'm going to get this piece so that I can show you guys what I'm talking about, okay? Because if you're thinking about getting a riser, this is something that you guys should really think about as well. All right. Now, this is where you put your hoop on, right? Now, the machine sits on the riser. However, this is the arm that I'm talking about. You would have to get a bag that can fit in here. Okay, not only just go on the bottom, but also be able to fit this. Okay, because, and then I'm going to just do this so you can look at it. Okay, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Okay, see, it would have to fit in here because when I pull this out, I'm trying to do this with one hand. Anyway, make believe this is in here. It's in the machine, okay? See how wide this is? The bag would have to be big enough so that it can fit around this piece, okay? So the riser concept is a good one, but the problem is that arm. It has nothing to do with the riser, you know? I mean, it's just the whole thing. Now, if you want to do a shirt, okay, like adult shirts, the riser is great because you could take this shirt and you can fit it inside the arm and then you can place it in there. I could see that, okay, and that'll work great. All right. But for what I was thinking about using it for was for like tote bags and stuff like that. And when I came across the tote bags that I liked, they were kind of small. And because they were small, that arm, I couldn't fit it in the arm. So I have not used the riser. I have not used the riser. But you know what? I should do and I'm glad you brought that up because I think what I should do is do a video using the riser and then actually bringing up while I'm doing that video, just bringing up that issue because it's not an issue with the riser itself. It's just an issue with the way the machine is built, so you have to take that into consideration. So thanks for bringing that up though. And I am going to put that in because that is one of the videos. And I know I had said that I was going to do one using it. But because I couldn't find a bag, but you know what? I'm just going to use a shirt. I'm going to use a shirt and I'm going to embroider a shirt using the riser because I know the shirt will fit in there. But while I'm doing that video, I'll explain that handicap, that arm. Because to me, I consider that a handicap and it can be, hey, Mello, it can be an issue. So that's the only thing that I would say think about. Hey Diane, how are you? Want to learn how to work on caps? I broke 2 needles and I got scared, so I just work on t-shirts and flat iron. Okay, Diane, when it comes to baseball hats, one of the things that I always do is I use a sharp needle because think about the baseball hats, especially the ones that have the hard structure. That's very hard material, right, Mello? Okay, he's like looking at me and stuff. See, you paying attention? Oh my God, he burped. Sorry, excuse you. Okay, somebody just had dinner. Sorry, guys. So anyway, that was unexpected. Okay, so anyway, I used the sharp needles. Okay, because the structure of the baseball hat is really, really hard, especially those that are structured hats. Okay, so I recommend using that. Also, slow down the machine. Don't go fast. Slow down the machine so that way the needle can glide in the fabric and glide out. That is probably why Diane the needles probably broke. So just slow down the machine. Don't be scared of it because keep trying it. Buy a couple of cheap hats and keep practicing. Okay? You could get a bulk. Get 12 hats. I think you can get 12 hats for like $24 or something like that. Just get 12 hats and those are your research and development hats. And just pump them out. Okay? Try the sharp needles, okay? Or if you want, keep using the same needles that you are. Slow down the machine and take your time. And you'll get it. Okay? So don't give up because then what's going to happen is you could make beautiful hats and you're not going to do it. Okay? So she said pimp. She's trying to pimp it out. Yeah, Lynette, I was trying to pimp out that administrative work, but nobody was having it. Everybody was like, no, that's your thing. Mm. A QuickBooks Live and show us the actual QuickBooks and how to put in versus going out. I could, yeah, Lynette, I have that. I can do a QuickBook Live, and then I can show you how I do my stuff. I think I can do that. And I can do a live and then bring it up, and that way you guys can see how I manage it and stuff. That's a good idea. I don't mind doing that. Um my husband asked me who's that for and laughs. Jeanette, do you know if there's a red or tan no-show mesh? I have not seen, well, no, tan I have seen. I have seen the tans in who asked? Oh my god, I just lost the thing. Where is it? Was it you, Iris? Where is it? Oh, I forgot who it was. And I just saw it. Oh, where is it? Oh man. Somebody asked about. Okay, well, anyway. Oh, there it is. Iris, it is you. Okay. I have not seen red no-show mesh. What I have seen is the tan color. It's like a beige. And I saw that in check out allstitch.com because I think allstitch.com might have the beige cover up. I have only seen the black and the white. Those are the most common colors. So a lot of times I only use the black if I'm actually have a black item, and the white I use for everything else. So, but I have not purchased the beige because the white kind of works for me and stuff. Let's see. I opened my Etsy shop in May and spent a ton on fabric. My husband does our taxes. I'm afraid to tell him the amount. Hey, it's an expense, Angela. It's a business expense, okay? And you got to remember too, and this is the other thing too. The first 2 years that you usually start a business, you sometimes don't, a lot of times people have this percent, I started a business, I'm going to make money. You are going to make money. However, though, sometimes the first 2 years, you kind of operate on a loss. And the reason why you're operating in a loss is because you're just starting your business. So when you're just starting your business, there are a lot of things that you are buying just to start. You're buying your embroidery machines. That's an expense. You're buying all your threads. That's an expense. But as time goes on, what happens is you already have most of your equipment. So after like year 3 or 4, your expenses are just supplies and material mostly because you already have all the machines. Remember, once you buy an embroidery machine, you don't need to rebuy that every year. You have it until it dies on you. Then you go and you buy a new one. So that's not an expense that you're going to have the following year because you've done it. Okay. Your expenses are usually going to be the materials that you constantly need, which is like stabilizers, threads, and the embroidery products. The machinery and all that kind of stuff is really the big expense that you usually have in the beginning of a business. So, don't don't be afraid of that, Angela. Understand that when you are starting out, you are going to have a lot of expenses because you're starting, okay? You're starting out. But as time goes on, your expenses will get a lot less, and then you're going to start seeing your profit, okay? So just something to always think about, okay? Hey, Miss Moose, what was your starter kit like? How many of an item did you buy when you first started? Okay, Missy Moon, when I first started, and I'm assuming you're asking about products, go to the dollar store, okay? Because those the stuff that you want to practice on, okay? Because you know what? If you mess up a towel that only cost you $1, you're not gonna cry about that, okay? So go to the dollar store, buy the cheap shirts, buy the cheap fabrics, buy the towels, the oven mitts and all that good stuff. Get them all from there. And then, little by little, go to Michael's, use their 40% coupon. Michael's always has their coupons. Joann's always have their coupons. Joann's, you can get blanks too, okay? They sell t-shirts there too. They sell baseball hats and all that kind of stuff. Don't buy expensive blanks. When you're first starting out, I tell people, you are learning the machine, you are just exploring and stuff like that. It's just to get your feet wet. There is no reason for you to go out there and buy this expensive stuff. So start at the dollar store, get felt, get a yard of fabric, cut it up, start embroidering on that. The dollar store, use those coupons, okay? Joann's get coupons, Michael's get coupons. Hobby Lobby doesn't do coupons anymore, I believe. I know they don't do military discounts. I walk around Hobby Lobby for the ideas. That's what I go in there for. I don't like, now I'm not gonna say that I don't shop there at all. But it's very seldom. It's very, very seldom. I'm more of a Michael's person because I get to use my military discount and I get to use my coupons and everything. And I'm more of a dollar store kind of a person too. So, that is what I started with, Missy Moon. Don't go around purchasing expensive, not even in the beginning. Don't do it. Okay. And then for the threads, just go online, 63 colors thread, Brother Reed, good enough. Okay, because remember, it's just so that you can learn the machine and get used to thread and all that kind of stuff and everything. As time goes on, you're going to learn about the different brands of thread, the different weights of thread. Okay, because there's different weights of thread too. Start with the 40 weight. Okay, because that's the most common for embroidery. And then when you want to start doing small fonts and logos and stuff like that, that's when you'll graduate over to using 60 weight thread. And that's when you'll start graduating and using different types of needles so that you can use the 60 weight thread. So, don't go crazy spending a whole lot of money on all this stuff. Okay. So, that's what that's my advice and stuff. So, let's see. Everybody's afraid to tell the hubby. Well, Fred kind of knows. So he's just like, ugh. He kind of gets scared and he kind of tells me, don't make too much of a profit because you got to pay your taxes. Okay, so let's see. I found some men actually get jealous of the amount of time you devote to your machine. Iris, that's true. And I do have to sometimes say, okay, enough. And then, especially like in the summertime, because my husband loves to sit on the deck and he loves to have his cigar and his drink and stuff like that. So I have to always, especially in the summer, when the weather's nice, I do have to sometimes make sure that I have hubby time. Okay. So it's like, I'll shut down everything and he'll have the fire pit going and I'll grab my glass of wine and I go out there and I'll just talk to him and stuff. But it's true. Don't get so consumed. It's a good thing because you love it. You love what you do, but don't get so consumed that you forget about those that you love and that love you because, they are part of your life. So yeah, make sure that you do make time for those folks and stuff. Let me see. Let's see. Embroidery. It is addicting, Michelle. It is very, very, very addicting. And it's expensive. It's expensive and it's addicting. And this is the other thing too. And I don't know if this is your experience. When you go shopping and you're looking at clothes or kitchen towels or anything, especially with me with kitchen towels. If I go to Walmart or I go to Target or Bed Bath and Beyond, sometimes you'll see that they sell like kitchen towels or if you go to a store and you see Macy's, they'll have like a beautiful shirt and they have some embroidering on it. I actually spend time looking at it and seeing how they embroidered it. And sometimes I'll turn around and I go, oh, they use that. I would have used something else. or I'll even judge the embroidery and go, "Oh, I could have did better than that," you know. So that is something about embroidery. Once you start to you get addicted to it, and then once your skills really start building, when you go shopping, and even when you're sewing, when you go shopping and you see certain things and you look at the styles and everything, you're kind of like, "Oh, I could do that. And which in a way is good because you can save money, because sometimes they charge a lot of money for certain simple shirts and styles, and you can just sew that yourself, or you can embroider that yourself, and it comes out really, really nice. So it is addicting and stuff. So um let's see. I wish I had a separate sewing and crafting room that has space in my family room, and I have to go to a place alone. Hubby is right there asking questions. Yeah, and I am very fortunate because you know, Carlito's away at college, so I took one of this. I took his old bedroom and I turned this into a sewing room, and it is. And Lynette, I agree, but make your I think it was last week. I think last week I had I talked about crafting and sewing rooms and stuff, and I did mention about that. That everybody has different space or different situation, right? And sometimes you can't have a separate room to be sewing and everything. And you have busy families, you have a lot of people around and everything. And I know that sometimes when you're sewing and you're embroidering, one of the things that I like is, me personally, I like to have quiet and peace, and it's my space, right? So one of the things that you can probably try to do is try to find out when there's people not around in that particular area. you know um he might sleep, so maybe nighttime while he's sleeping, that could be when you have your time alone with your machine. So, and I know what you talk about. Sometimes I don't mind, because it depends on your mood, right? Sometimes you don't mind having someone by you to have a conversation with while you're sewing, but other times you just want to be in your element, right? You just want it to be you and your machine, your fabric, and you don't want that interruption and stuff like that. So in those moments when he goes to sleep, then that could be the time when you can just go to that little corner and turn on that machine and just do your thing. Just a little idea. um when I travel for work, I miss my machines. And Michelle, yes, and that is, and I feel the same way. Because they're calming. One of the things too that I looked at was, I googled things about embroidering and sewing, and I found an article, and it talked about 12 different things about good thing about embroidering and sewing that's very beneficial to people. It helps with focusing. It really, it helps people relieve stress. There's a lot of benefits to it. Let me see. Oh, I have it right up here in my other computer. And here are some of the things. Okay, I'm gonna run it down real quick. It alleviates stress. It reduces anxiety, lower blood pressure, and decrease of the heart rate. It keeps your brain healthy. It helps the brain recover from injury. It also says it keeps your eyes sharp, to be mindful, build confidence. It brightens your home, and I agree with that, because the more you embroider, you like to decorate, and you will put stuff around your house. You express yourself. It's art therapy, and it says save the planet and look cool. Yeah. So those were the 12 things that they listed as the benefits for sewing and embroidery. So, you know, um, yeah, I kind of, which is pretty cool. Oh, where I'm on the wrong mouse. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. You're so right. When I was younger, I let people talk me down. Now I could definitely stand my ground on pricing. Yes, Robin. I mean, and this is the thing. I look at it as, it's about not just you providing them a good product, but it's about you feeling good about yourself, you know? And the last thing you want to do is feel cheated. And I'm just not, I'm not for that. You know what I'm saying? You have a skill, you worked hard at it, and you should get paid what you believe is worth. And the other thing too to consider is everybody's different, okay? And just because someone believes that something should be priced one in one way doesn't mean that it has to be priced that way, okay? Like some people, they like to charge a dollar per thousand stitches. Some people like to charge for their time. Some people just look at all the materials that they use and they double the price. There's a lot of different ways for you to price your items. You just have to find what makes you comfortable, okay, and that you feel that you got your worth. That's how I look at it, okay? Because the last thing you want is to feel cheated. That's not a good feeling. And mm-mm, don't. I tell people don't. If you have to feel cheated all the time, then my suggestion, and you don't feel that you can stick it out in that kind of, then my recommendation would be that sewing, I mean, not sewing, selling could is probably not your thing, but gift giving could be. So I'm not saying stop sewing and I'm not saying stop embroidering, but maybe you just shouldn't sell it. Maybe what you should do is just sew for your friends and your family, because that makes you feel good as giving it to them as a gift versus giving it to a stranger and having them devalue your work and devalue you. Okay. So that's just how I look at it. Okay. So you just gotta, basically love yourself. That's just how I see it. um, let's see what else. When they say they can get it cheaper, they can't, and then they come back, I reject them as a customer. And you know what? And Harmony, you're right, because this is the thing. This is the thing, and I agree with Harmony. It's like it's disrespectful, especially, it's like, oh, I want it, I'm going to negotiate with you, and I'm going to go this price, and then they come back, and you're already feeling some kind of way against that person. You already kind of feel, and I know you should forgive and all that kind of stuff, but the thing is, it's like, this is how I this is how I feel, okay? If you try to screw me once, you're most likely going to try to do it again. Okay. You don't need to do it twice. All right. So I usually take that as, if you do something that I feel ain't right, okay, chances are you're going to do it again. So I'm not, why would I place myself in that position? You already showed me who you are. You already kind of demonstrated to me who, the type of person you are. So to me, it's like, I'm not saying that I would hate the person or whatever, but it's just, that's not the type of person that I would like to do business with either. Okay, so I totally agree with her, and I totally understand, because it's about values, and it's about, making sure that you don't become somebody's what you call it when somebody's trying to step over you or something like that. Well, you guys understand what I'm saying. Pin cushion or something like that. I don't know. Well, but y'all know what I mean. Okay, you a pushover. There you go. I'm not a pushover. I just don't. And if you feel that you got to, that you want, it's like, we already got bad. we had a bad start. Um, let's just keep it going. You just do your thing. Um, I wouldn't do it either and stuff. Cindy made me slippers. Cindy is, let me tell you, her sewing Harmony has. She is putting some pictures out there that I'm like, oh, that girl got it going on. And she's always so proud of her stuff, and I'm so happy for her, because she has really, she's really doing good. She is really doing good and stuff. Just became an empty nester. Made my daughter's isn't that being an empty nester wonderful, Gina? I'm telling you. Well, mine keeps coming back, okay, because he's at VCU, so he keeps coming back. But when he leaves, it's wonderful. I'm telling you. For those of you guys that have small kids, hug them, love them, and everything now. Trust me. Because when the teenage years come, it's like, oh boy, it's like, okay, here we go. All right, it's challenging times, okay? But when they finally leave, I'm not saying you don't love them. You still love them, okay? You still adore them. I'll take a bullet for my son any day, okay? Everybody knows that. I love my son to death. But the house is so clean. I tell you, boy, there's so many benefits when they leave. So, it really is and stuff. But you do miss them too. You do miss them because I do enjoy it when Carlito shows up for a weekend to visit me and stuff like that. I do get excited because that's my boy. um, let's see. Let's see. Anything else? I just made a beanie on my knitting machine and I want to add decorative leather tag on the brim. Do I need to be in Embrilliance to get a placement stitch and add the satin stitch border? Yeah, you will need some kind of embroidery software. Now, if you have the Brother SC1900, the Brother SC1900 does have fonts built in, and I believe it has shapes too. I have not checked on that yet lately, but if it does, all you would have to do is just pick the shape and you can add the letters in there. Okay, so that is one thing that you can do without the software is using the shapes. And I'm not too sure. No, it does. It has shapes in there. There is shapes in there. It has shapes, and you can pick your letters, and you can create a patch, and you can put that on there. Okay. And so I think I got mostly everybody in here. I know there's more comments and stuff, but guys, it is like I'm going on 2 hours. These things are getting long. And you guys are hanging in there with me. Love it. No. But I always like to look at all the comments and everything because I just feel like it's just a bunch, I don't know. I always feel like it's just a bunch of us in a room just sharing information. And I have to admit, I really love these Fridays. I really do. And I am so glad that you guys are enjoying them too and stuff. But I am going to say goodnight because, I do have to spend some time with hubby because I know he's in the basement and he's probably watching a movie and he's probably, having his whiskey or something like that. I don't know. I'm just going to get probably a glass of wine and stuff and just sit with him. And I do want to spend some time with him and stuff. And I think Mello is probably in the staircase waiting for me to get out of this room so that I could spend time with both of them and stuff. So I am going to say good night to you guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. Please consider subscribing. I mean, the channel is growing and my goal is to try to hit 10,000 subscribers, hopefully by the summer. I don't know. If I do, great. If not, that's okay. But please hit that like button. And thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope that the information that I shared with you guys is useful. I am going to have a lot more videos coming out. I have a whole bunch of topics of videos that I wanted to share with you guys. However, though, life happens, okay? And I just did not have the time to do that. But I am going to get on it. I promise, okay? So, guys, have a good one. Please enjoy your weekend. Please be safe out there. And happy sewing and happy embroidering. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Have a great night. Love you guys all. Bye.